for a start, I might just introduce myself to those of you who don't know me. An awful lot of people seem to know me. Anyway, I'm Brad Bottrill. I'm a mineralogist, metrologist, and geologist from Mineral Resources Tasmania, which is the state mines department or geological survey. We've done it by a few different names. A bit of background about myself, I suppose, a bit like Sue. I think I've been collecting rocks since I can walk. I think I gathered every time I went to the beach. I'd come back with a pocket full of pebbles or some fossils. Brought up in Adelaide there, where the beaches always seem to have some pretty stones with beautiful limestone cliffs, and they used to pick out nice echinoids and sharks' teeth and various sort of things. So I sort of always got fascinated in those, but I sort of drifted over to the crystals, but that's something that just amazed me, that I could understand how fossils would form, but you come across the porous crystal, running under the ground, under the pile of dirt, so that always intrigued me. Well, I suppose that's what's driven me ever since, Minerals and gems and things for me are not just pretty stones to put in the cabinet, there's something to look at, understand, and try and say, why is it so, why did it happen, and how did that come to be? And that's something that's sort of driven me, I suppose. It's a natural thing, I guess, from growing up with that sort of passion for gems, minerals, fossils, etc., to go to university to become a geologist. And I was told that was the wrong thing to do because nobody wants a geologist, he doesn't pay well. But I've been paid to go out and look for buried treasure all my life. What more could you want out of life? Look for buried treasure and get paid for it. So I think that's been just fantastic. I've enjoyed every minute pretty much. Well, we had a few ups and downs, I suppose, but basically it's been pretty fantastic life. So, what I'm going to do today is, I think I've spent about the last 40 years in Tasmania after some time working around Australia, but settled in Tasmania is just a beautiful place to live and work, and a lot of fascinating geology, lots of really interesting mines, lots of great gems and minerals and things to try and understand and work on. And so I spent a lot of time trying to study these things, analyse stuff, write up reports and so forth. So yeah, just move through some of these. So what I'll do today is basically give you a bit of the history of Tasmania from a geologist's point of view. A geologist tends to think not in terms of hours, days or minutes. We're always late because we're always thinking millions of years rather than anything else. So we're going to look at Tasmania's history going back to about 1.5 million years. This is how much history. And the history of Tasmania for a geologist is written in the rocks. It's written in the rocks, the fossils, the gems, the minerals, and if you know how to read it, we can understand how Tasmania was made, how old it is, and what happened to Tasmania. A lot's happened to Tasmania. Tasmania is one of the most complex bits of Australia in a lot of ways. So just to learn from here, what I'll just try and elaborate for those I suppose. But what we've got in Tasmania is a bit of a concoction of rocks, but almost equivalent to South Australia on the west coast. There's a lot of Tasmania, part of the equivalent to the Sydney Basin, and we've got a lot of stuff from Victoria which comes down mostly on the east coast. And something squashed together around the line, and something that seems to flatten out Tasmania to be half the size of Australia because it's just got so much geology crammed into a small area. And we've got rocks from most of the major eras, from the middle of the Precambrian right through to recent rocks, and just about every age in between. We've got lots of interesting rocks there to work on. So, major areas we've got, the rock we break it up to is Precambrian rocks that are older than about 600 million years, through to Paleozoic, which is the more recent stuff, and we'll just go through from the oldest to the youngest. So, geology of Tasmania, so most the west coast and most of the old rocks, Precambrian and Cambrian rocks. The northeast is a bit younger, there's a lot of Devonian, there's a bit of Orbition, Silurian sort of stuff going on there, and a lot of Tasmania is covered by these younger post-Devonian cover rocks. A lot of Jurassic Old rock, a lot of Triassic sandstone period, can have its interest, but not as complex as some of the stuff underneath it. So starting with Precambrian, the oldest rocks we found in Tasmania is getting back to about 1,400 million years, or nearly 1.5 billion years. When I first came to Tasmania, we had this feeling that we didn't really know how old some of these rocks were. We thought, well, some of them were probably Precambrian, they were probably around 600 million years, maybe 700. We've doubled the age of Tasmania since I've been there, and I've been part of that process of looking at that. So Tasmania's, we age Tasmania quite a lot, so it's really interesting. And there's a lot of interesting things going on too when you start trying to go back that far and trying to look at where it's in the world system. You've probably heard things like Gondwanaland. Millions of years ago, we used to be attached to Antarctica, we used to be attached to New Zealand, India, South Africa, and so forth, and it's broken up. But even before Gondwanaland, the world's been having continents that we move around, breaking up, colliding with each other, and we've worked out that actually one stage Tasmania about a billion years ago was joined to North America. We can go to North America and look at rocks which are almost identical to stuff in northwestern Tasmania. It's sort of boggles your mind, at least to me. The rocks themselves tend to be largely fairly uninteresting. Look, the rocks, although there are some interesting things that go on with this, interesting water deposits and basalts and dolerites. And there's a major tin, major type deposits hosted in these big Cambrian rocks. And so one of those hosted in Brickhaven is Savage River, which is their biggest mineral deposit in Tasmania. It's a magnetite deposit. It's got a bit of copper and gold with it. They don't really chase that. That's sort of something they keep looking at, thinking maybe they will one of these days. But it's a very extensive deposit running over several kilometres there with great big tailings there. So it's hidden away in the northwest there, where most people don't know it exists. But it's producing a very high grade magnetite resource which gets a premium product. And then the price of iron ore goes up and down around the world. You know, they still continue to make a good profit, and it's a nice little operation. But also in the northwest, there's a lot of gold deposits. We're fairly close to Savage River. In fact, just immediately to the north and to the south of Savage River mine, there's a lot of gold. This is some stuff we got in a few years ago with Tony Fraser there. We were having this work, and he found some really nice nuggets. You can see what size of them, you know, they're quite substantial. It's funny how these little thin carbonate gold. But also some of the biggest nuggets here, the McGinty nuggets there, which were found 100 years or so ago too, pretty substantial sort of things. And people are still going out there and finding gold, so there's a bit around there. So fairly wild, almost inaccessible level of creatures in there, but there's a bit of gold in it, so pretty getting it. Another interesting thing in this part of the world is you don't tend to think of Tasmania to be a diamond province, but there have been a number of diamonds come out. These ones are ones we photographed out of the Tasmanian Museum. They're not really deep, but they're quite genuine. They're a few millimetres inside. They look very similar to some of the gems you get out in New England in the Coaching area, if anybody's ever seen those, quite similar. So that's all I've been interested. Where are these diamonds coming from? That's the obvious thing. We find these things from the gold deposits, you know, when people looking for illegal gold, you know, they sniff out bits of the occasional diamond. Even in recent times, the occasional person come along and say they found a diamond, and it could well be. So we've been doing a bit of work up there. I've been trying to look for interesting diamond-like rocks, and just in the last few years we have found some kimberlite-like rocks up in the northwest, including the Savage River and the west coast. There are rocks there which we think might well host the diamonds. We haven't found any diamonds in situ, but something we're looking at, so we think that could be pretty exciting. Okay, so moving slightly younger into the Cambrian. The Cambrian is one of the most complex ages, probably worldwide, but especially in Tasmania. The Cambrian is when complex life really sort of started to hit the ground, and we got animals. Before, in the pre-Cambrian, it was mostly algae and lots of stromatolites and things, and a few very soft body things like jellyfish and things which are forming later in the Ediacara in the latest Cambrian. But really, the Cambrian things got up, that's when we first started getting shelly fossils, you know, things, the brachiopods and trilobites and things all started taking over, and suddenly it's just, it was almost within a few million years, but suddenly animals all over the world, so at least in the sea, not so much in the land. As well as that, there's a lot happening in terms of continental collision. The Earth was sort of breaking up and moving around. There are lots of little microcontinents which are sort of crashed into each other. And Tasmania formed basically by 2 or 3 little microcontinents or very large islands which crashed into each other and included and formed part of Gondwanaland at one stage, when it broke down, it was broken away since. It's been in this time, in the Cambrian time, we had slabs of seafloor being crashing into each other, some being thrust over the top of other rocks, and some rocks being subducted, which means being soaked down inside the earth. We have Iron Arch, a big volcanic arch running up and down the west coast of Tasmania. And as part of that system, there's a lot of mineralisation happening. And some of the major mineral deposits formed at the time, that's including Rosebery, and Lyle, Curita, Hellier, and so forth. And even Savage River formed at that same time, I think. So that was a really intense time, I suppose. We wouldn't have probably wanted to be alive at the time there because there were so many volcanoes and so many hot fluids sort of pouring up. It would have been probably a pretty tough place to live. But it left us a big legacy of mineral deposits. So just looking at some of these. One that a lot of you are aware of, it's the pebble mineral stickslide, which is really quite a rare mineral in most places. But in Tasmania, we've got big deposits of it, and that's worldwide. That's just really weird, and people sort of say, what's going on? And one guy from interstate, Swiss guy actually, but he's living in the state now, but he came along and he said, Tasmania must be the world centre for this chromium metastone. Nobody else in the world can get so much chromium moving around and forming all these weird minerals. So it's something weird that's happening. So there's certain times, these things started off as chromites, these little black specks of chromite, which do get black minerals being replaced by the stickslide, and everything will move around the rock and get big lumps, but occasionally if you're lucky, and they're quite prized specimens. So that happened in some of the seafloor slabs. So this is a bit of an example where the stuff probably formed in sort of as like a certain kind of seafloor which got subducted down buried it, and then it's as it goes down it gets hotter and the rocks melt and they come up as volcanoes. So we have a lot of what called Iron Arch, which is like the ring of fire around the Pacific, you know, it runs from New Zealand up through the Philippines, Japan, the west coast of the United States, South America. You've got all these volcanic arcs which would have been how Tasmania looked, I think, back in this Cambrian age. So lots of different volcanics, rhyolites, basalts, etc. And lots of sulphur-rich hydrothermal deposits. There's one of the main keys to what's happening. So as a result of that, we've got lots of mines. I won't sort of more that, as I say, there's a whole host of world-class mines running up and down the west coast of Tasmania. A lot of those are Cambrian age. There's a bit of complexity with the Devonian stuff over Prindy, which we'll talk about later there. It's one of the most mineralised bits of ground in the world in terms of the complexity. That Isle was one of the world's biggest copper mines back 150 years ago. It started off and they invented pyritic smelting, which was revolutionary at the time there. It sort of caused a bit of a mess for the environment, which I won't go into, but at the time it was so one of the world's biggest copper producers. There's still a lot of copper there and they're still talking about reopening the mines, so it's quite a deposit. Revolutionary technology went on there too, like the railway too. They had some pretty steep concrete that stuff up and down, get stuff out of the mine and run, but you get stuff shipped off out to onto the ship because they didn't have good land access, roads and railways to the west coast were almost unknown at that time, so it took quite a effort to ship this stuff to ports. Anyway, not going to that. It's very major copper deposits, silver and gold. And just, just run over because it is so important, I suppose. There's lots of different types of minerals, like this one's from the dozens of different bodies. Some bodies are full of basically major copper, like copper clay. Some zones are full of magnetite, other zones are full of bornite, some areas are full of gleam or starite, and some areas are basically chalcopyrite. So really interesting, complex deposit to make sense. From our point of view, I suppose, we look for a nice, pretty mineral specimens and some beautiful chalcopyrite, of course, there's some major copper and quite large specimens. But the mines were running, there was a host of beautiful specimens come out, and they probably still there if you get a mine. Mentioned another one just to the north of that mine was the Hendy Gold Mine, which I was here when that mine started about 40 years ago, and they said, well, we'll probably have a life for 5 years, but it's still running, so it's specimen clippings. The mines don't like people taking the gold specimens, but there's a few that sneak out. Rosary mine, one of the world's biggest lead zinc silver deposits. Silver was coupled with basically hiding away in the bush on the west coast there. It's a little town there, but you almost drive from the west coast without realising there's any mine there. It's the west coast is like that. Full of forests and mountains and major ore deposits hiding away in them. So, just some of the minerals there, just beautiful gleaners, pyrite, shallow pyrite, quartz crystals, some of my favourites have been some of the rose parasites, quartz and rock and the anderites and the completions, yeah. Not too many of those have come out recently, but in the early days, there's some marvellous specimens come out of that, and the nearby Hercules mine. What has come out in recent years is a few different things. As you're getting deep down, the mineralogy is changing. So in the early days, there was nice gold and barite. It's a year that they're going down, but now we're going from bearing sulfates like barite, you're bearing carbonate. So there are lots of wilderite, barite, calcite. Quite different sort of going down very deep in the mine, it's getting very hot, and granites very close, and granites are cooking it up, so you're getting some weird things happening there, and the rocks changing a lot, so it's really interesting. There's in fact, deep down there's some rhodonite and garnet, which is very much like broken hills, so when you think about how the broken hill form, you go to Rosebery, you can see it going from a fairly low bit of grade sediment-hosted deposit, moving down into a recrystallised broken hill type deposit. It's really interesting. So Hercules is very similar to Rosebery, but it's another one of these volcanic-related sediment-hosted lead zinc deposits, but notable for carrying a bit of gold and a bit of fluorite there too, and also a bit of sphalerite, there's been a few things that's. It's a mine they're looking at reopening again too. It's been opened and closed a few times, but it's still got a lot of ore there, and it's still really easy to get in, especially with the price of gold. There's a lot of gold in it, and there's some keen, everybody's keen on gold at the moment. And politics, in many ways, the gold price is shooting upwards. So, Pure River Helios, again, that's one of the world-class lead zinc deposits there, lead zinc, copper, silver and gold, although they had a bit of trouble getting the gold out, never really was really tough. Lots of interesting minerals there. It didn't last as long as we would have liked to. I think it was about 10 years or so basically done. They reopened it once or twice and they still I think there's a bit of ore there, but they haven't looked at reopening that, I think, but it was a nice minerals from there too, what it's got those. It's nice green, sphalerite, shaped pyrite stuff there, and crystals for centimetres or so. So moving on from Cambridge water, this is slightly younger rocks. After the volcanic finish up there, down a lot of the stuff got eroded away and sort of buried over sediments. And what happens in volcanoes, they tend to erode away and get buried under the sediment. But these sedimentary sediments still hold those are very important till tungsten and gold deposits and things too, which we'll talk about because these things are subsequently mineralised during the Devonian. So during the Devonian, the most important thing was we had a bit of a mountain near the episode. We had granites start to form, including into these rocks, into the other rocks, including infantry, Cambrian, Ordovician and other rocks there, and they put them up. These really hot rocks that partly there was they produced lots of really hot fluids, lots of remobilisation, the sulphides formed in caves and started to get melted and remobilised. So there's all sorts of things taken by it. It was really a fairly complex time and formed some really major mineral deposits. So much of it's granulated, and in terms of the granites itself, some of the granites, there's a lot of killing cases. There's probably topaz, some topaz will kill cranky on Flinders Island, but there's also a lot of topaz around the northeast and northwest of Tasmania and various other spots on the west coast. You can get quite nice topaz crystals simply return. Kill cranky ones are probably the biggest. Qualification, birds and apples and apples, probably the gold also form during the gold. So one of the major deposits is the Launceston mine. It's one of the world's biggest underground tin mines. One stage was cheaper than the biggest, I think there's a record on the building now, it's produced a lot of really nice minerals as well as that tin. The tin itself is rarely visible. The tin is usually microscopic, but they are recently zinc they had some nice considerable crystal precision so finding this. I thought that's really very promising. This is sort of more of a down sort of stuff. And this is especially I first went to Launceston mine in 1979 went underground and I found a little these minerals are owned by such and such a person, I think it might be Frank Holmes. Anyway, I've got a nice little specimen of quartz, angerite, and pyrite, and shapphite, so even back in those days, when people were, this was 50 odd years ago, people were still quite keen on the minerals then. So, nice fluorite on the right-hand side, but there's some beautiful fluorites. And then a similar tin deposit is the Mount Richard mine, which was one of the earliest mines open in Tasmania, opened in the 1890s. And produced a lot of tin, then closed down for quite a few years after running for 30 odd years or so, but reopened again back in the late 90s, reopened for a year or so, and quite a lot of really nice minerals too, so some beautiful fluorites again, some beautiful slide things like nice pyrites, a lot of really weird and wonderful minerals too, like cellulites and weird minerals. Then there's the Bottrill mine, which that operated in the 60s and 70s, and I had the privilege of visiting back to 1979 when I was at university there, and I went down underground there. It was one of the most amazing times of my life. We went down, drove down a decline, and all sat in the back of a ute, got down 500-600 metres down the station there. And John just went and said, right, everybody turn off your lights. And what's going on? And turn off your lights, and the walls were blown blue. It was just, the fluorite in the walls was just, there's a lot of fluorite there. We started talking about opening this mine, and I really did the very much of the two Western fluorites, which is some of Western Australian best fluorites. And lots of other things, a lot of consideration, there's rare minerals like wickenite, tetrawickenite, there's lots of strange fluorides, so there's all sorts of really wonderful minerals there. Another development deposit that some of you perhaps is the Power mine. This one started back in the 1970s as a scheelite mine. They eventually decided they couldn't make money out of the scheelite, but there was a lot of magnetite, so they thought they'd try and mine some magnetite. So they've done that mostly in the sense they still mine the scheelite, but sort of there's a bit of cream on the cake. They mine a few tonnes a year, they wait for the price and they'll flog it off and but this has been a major mine for minerals too, especially the garnets, the andesite garnets, so beautiful as scheelite. Garnet, zephyrdates, there's a lot of mentioned lead minerals like wolframite, stolzite, pyromorphite down there as well. So it's really great deposit. And then there's the goldfields. Tasmania, people think of basically the extension of the Melbourne Victorian goldfields. It's sort of part of the Melbourne sequence of rocks there, sort of, all of this is rare developing sort of sequence of mostly slates and sandstone. And we just readily, all these little quartz veins, which a lot of them contain gold and some contain more than others. This is a recent find which we just got in the MRT, which is just going on display from up at Back Creek there. Guys were mines that we looted and we started getting some veins and starting to pull out now some really nice samples of gold and quartz. And really nice history about it. Just had an ounce or so of gold in this one, but so gold's got a gold over the north-east, north-west, down the west coast of Tasmania, not all of it, but most of it's been at the same time. So there's a big mountain beating episode with the granites cooking up. And just another mention of the first range of the process comes from, because there's pegmatite you sort of see the quartz grain zones, the quartz fields are there, but the topaz starts to sort of sweat out and form these nice crystals, and they end up, most people can't find them in the ground, but they just go to the way you sort of road out and do roads, and so you do all the vegetables in the tents and you can find these nice topaz crystals up to a few centimetres in size. This is some stuff in the total foresight and we interpreted some of these years ago. I want to go to a couple of pictures. So followed on the Devonian after the gravity, things were getting the mountains and started to wear down. And basically the Tasmanians was basically in the grip of an ice age, were basically worn down by massive ice, probably looked pretty much like this mountains covered in snow and ice and then ground away by glaciers. So for quite a few million years it was probably a pretty inhospitable place to live. But gradually things started to settle down and food carnivorous, it's pretty cold, and the Permian started to warm up slowly, and eventually, there's a lot of sea life, and a lot of money cutting in the sea, and lots of fossils, and then cold fossils started to form in the end of the Permian, going into the Triassic where it became more tropical, and so that's where we started to get a few more interesting fossils, I suppose, from quality of this colonies, so we started to get lots of amphibians, and there's just one formed down on the Tasmanian Peninsula where we started to find some beautiful fossils, and we're working with some research in the Tasmanian Museum, also the University of New England there, and some of these things, and we've got another trip planned in probably in January. We're going to go back and try and find some more of these, which is pretty exciting, so it's really amazing. So we continue. So following on the Triassic, what happened then was basically Tasmania starting to break away from the rest of the environment. As I say, we had Antarctica, Australia, New Zealand, South America, South Africa, India all joined up together, and it started to break up at about this time. This is about 160 million years where the first sign of it happened. The first sign of this happening was huge masses of basaltic rock coming in through, and this basically one seal, and this is stuff hundreds of metres thick, some of these seals that have intruded there. It would have been, I think that Tasmania would have been pretty hot at the time because, these things mostly were deep below the surface. Some of them came to the surface. At Loon River there, we had some basalts and tufaceous rocks where the volcanoes did actually make it to the surface. A lot of it was deep under the ground, so these cooked up the rocks in these big massive intrusions. And it's a world-class thing. You find these same rocks in Antarctica, in South Africa, and I think even a little bit in New Zealand. So there's a world-scale eruption. So so that was the early part of the break up in the Gondwana land. So there's a bit of people still, but unfortunately not much mineralisation. And occasionally you'll get some bits here. You find a little bit of gold. Mostly it's responsible for one of their most spectacular landscapes, I suppose. If you ever see the Sydney Hobart operation, you see these amazing sort of what they call awful type structures there around the Tasmanian Peninsula, and it's some of the major peaks up in Lowlands and Snowden Mountain and so on. You've got the same bolerites on top of most of their major peaks. Some of the most spectacular eggs. We actually sent a couple of samples to send to Canberra recently for the National Rock Garden because they decided that Dollar Rock was our national, was our state rock. All the beautiful stones you got in Tasmania, it's a nice landscape, it's not the most attractive. Anyway, at the same time as these volcanoes were happening, there was a bit of stuff happening. This is from Moon River, and here we had pretty much tropical forest to forming at the time, and in this tropical forest there were lots of ferns and cycads and a lot of trees. We still don't know what they were, but a lot of the wood and trees got buried by volcanic eruptions, buried under volcanic ash and so on, and so a lot of stuff tucked up preserved as these beautiful trees. Being a dozen or so different species identified so far, there's probably a whole lot more if you get into the woods themselves. It's problematic to identify, but it was quite spectacular stuff there. And also, as well as that, in the Jurassic basalts, there is some beautiful agates forming. There are layers forming in some of these rocks, and these layers filled up with silky various forms. Some are crystalline silver, a lot of those fine chapsidity on them. So, some of the best agates come out of the river area there, and it's still producing stuff there. So now getting down to some of our younger rocks, relatively speaking, this is only 60 million years, so it's quite young, but still pretty influential. At this time in the Tertiary, the climate was largely fairly tropical, but also there's a lot of volcanoes, and it's probably largely related to the volcanic provinces in Victoria. Here in Victoria, there's a lot of volcanoes out the west of Victoria, one in South Australia, and the same sort of volcanic province runs over most of Tasmania. Just about everywhere in Tasmania you find evidence of old volcanoes. Sometimes people are over, sometimes there's still some remnants of where the volcanoes were, but most of it's pretty worn now. But these things do some really nice zeolites in these places too. Mixed up with the basalts, there's a lot of sedimentary basins, lots of little lakes and lots of rivers in there, so there's lots of stuff going on at the same time. People out there forming sort of deposits of bauxite and so on, so it was quite a bit happening at the time. And but it produced a lot of nice gemstones in particular, I suppose. When you see the sapphires and rubies, most of those we think are coming out of tertiary basalts, and I'll show you what they're soon. But also things like spinel, zircon, chrysobel and orthoclase, all found in basalts, probably brought up from deeper rocks, from deep down. But also other things, overloads of wood, there's sometimes fibers and sediments, agates, things like the tertiary basalts, peridots, sometimes quite large crystals in the basalts. So from a gem hunter's perspective, the tertiary basalts are really very important. Just show you some of these moments. So they're some of the best tasting sapphires rather than anything in the world. They're as good as along sapphires, beautiful blues, and a range of colours, yellow, green, colourless, pink ones occasionally, grey into ruby. I've got some there which I've identified as actual rubies. But, the blue ones are the more common and popular colours, I suppose. And just so everybody much blue coming out of the basalt, this is a sample score out of the basalt with the sapphires sitting in it. You don't see those very often, but other bits and pieces of olivine, peridot, pyroxenes and things in there too. So there's, if you find the source where all those sapphires are coming from, you'd be laughing at it. Probably deep down and just basalts punching up through the rocks and getting these sapphires up. So overnight willow, this is from up there at the moment, but similar stuff up in Devonport and other places where there's tertiary sediments and lake sediments and these buried by basalts, especially when the basalts come through, they quite hot, there's a lot of hot water and hot water things to replace any wood and dirt and things and even lakes and fairly good sediments. If you're lucky, you would have a beautiful system like this one. And some of the paradox of the forming around about the same sort of time. There's some miscellaneous that you know, it's great option around Davis, which has got the well, it's got a probably producing 99.9% of the world's crocodile. It's just amazing how much crocodiles are there. Again, there's so much chromium moving around in that part of the world, it's amazing. But what's been happening in recent times is I talked about how the Guana land was splitting up during the tertiary, and more splitting, and basically Tasmania finally separated from the mainland about 10,000 years ago after the Aborigines had sort of come down to Tasmania. And they cut off a rise in sea level. It's cooling basically, it's sort of global warming, it's global cooling during the ice age, and global warming later, it's cut off Tasmania and now. It's that's straight through the shallow places that we are cut off. Other interesting thing that happened at the time, we were hit by a meteor in the Darwin meteor crater. That was about 80,000 years or so ago. And that formed the Darwin blast. Yes, this is right in the Tasmanian Museum, or belongs to the Tasmanian Museum, but it's in the Museum in the Heritage Centre. When Frank Mahoney's collected. And this is some stuff from the Pat prospect, polymorphized crocodile. It's one of my favourite combinations. I always have that video with the carrots and crocodile. And then look at the very nice specimen collected by Bruce Stark. It's still operating at the moment. I think it's just beautiful stuff. And I suppose, I've already mentioned gold, but I suppose the fact is that a lot of the gold found these days is illegal gold. A lot of it's formed in tertiary deep leads or in more recent stuff. And certainly for the average collector, if you want to find gold, you don't want to look for hard rock gold. It's too hard. The illegal stuff is where things are. And I think I've got a bit out of Shane's plate. If anyone wants more information, we've got a stall, of course, and we've got books and maps on just everything. So anything you need to know, look at our website or come and find some more information. And I think that's about it. If there's any questions, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yes, that was an interesting mine. So some of these, when they first found the gold, and they say this is Devonian reef gold, there, these quartz reefs, similar to Victoria, and they started mining at the same time as the rushes in Victoria and New South Wales. That way sort of overshadowed it. People thought all the good gold was over the mainland. Some of those mines were as good as anything. There's gold gateway down in the Congo, so they still had good gold. A lot of stuff was ground in there. And most of the Lucasford was a better sort of grade, 7 grams or 1 extra tonne in gold, and the reef about a metre wide. And when they were, mining that stuff, that only finished, the guys got trapped underneath 10 years or so ago, whatever, and then they were shut down. I was actually underground not long before it happened, actually. I went down there and I went down the shaft, and I spent a couple of hours underground doing some surveying and collecting. And they let me go up and they said, we can't get you up to the surface. And I said, why not? I said, the lift's jammed, the shaft's starting to fall in and we can't get you out. I said, that's correct. So, yeah, we had a couple of hours sitting around down there waiting to try and clear the shaft. They couldn't release it, had to go up the air shaft and they got us out there. But I sort of thought after that, I don't know, I'm not sure I'm keen to go back there. And then after the accident, I'll be well. So it was, but there's plenty of gold down there, so people are still talking one day, sort of going down there, there's mechanised mining, and there's no nothing in nothing safe.
Have you heard much about the drill program at the moment for TID? Do you think that'll get going? Or?
Yeah, that's it's a really promising one there. I was talking to people at Z and there, and yeah, there's one of their problems is setting up the infrastructure, but they're hoping that for now that Avery shut down, they can use the Avery. That's one mine I didn't mention. There's a really interesting mine, a nickel mine called Avery. But so much stuff I couldn't cover anyway, but if they can use the Avery mill, you know, they reckon that'll be really big help in getting that mine going, so we're kind of optimistic that will work out. Although I think copper mines in Tasmania also buy in for, because their mill was basically defunct and they want to reopen that line, but they have to rebuild the mill or they have to use Avery, so I think Avery and Stella are going to be fighting over who gets the Avery mill. But anyway, one way or another, hopefully it'll work out because yeah, there's a big resource there under Zeeland. Basically, it's under a lot of the town there, under the golf course. There's a lot of things. Yeah, hopefully it'll work out soon. Yeah, that should be good. And I'm optimistic about these interesting minerals. And it's anything like Redison, Bishop, and Cleveland. Now we think there should be some good minerals in there.
And that's the galena lode that turns into tin at depth. Is that what's happening?
Essentially, it's sort of complex. We think there's an early stage of really high temperature tin deposits, and then the silver lead deposits tend to cut over it later. And you can see that at Bishop quite clearly. You know, there's some early skarn type tin where you get massive deposits of pyrite, kerratite, and tin, and you get that same sort of thing at Bishop, Cleveland. Renison and a few other different mines around it. But later, as these things start to cool down, what you get is that the tin will drop out quickly, but the lead is then come along later. So if you go to something like that Bishop, you find these late stage veins that are full of fluorite, lead, stellarite, and pyrite. They can have a bit of tin still, but they're later. And I think it's it's a related thing there. Lead zinc came a little bit later than the tin, so that's probably part of the same mineralogy. And so all of those veins can really interesting minerals too, so it's quite exciting when you get those veins that look at those really common sorts of things.
Anybody else? Oh, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.